A correlational research design measures a relationship between two variables without the researcher controlling either of them. It aims to find whether there is a positive correlation, which would infer that both variables change in the same direction, or a negative correlation, which would infer that the variables change in opposite directions, or no correlation, which would infer that there is no relationship between the variables. There are two main times where you're going to want to use a correlational research design. The first being when you want to find out if there is a relationship between two variables, but you don't expect to find a causal relationship between them. For example, let's say you wanted to know if people who have higher incomes are more likely to be vegetarian. You don't think that income causes vegetarianism or vice versa, but finding a relationship could lead to a better understanding of the factors that influence or limit people's dietary choices. So, the second reasoning being, you think that there is a causal relationship between the two variables, but it is impractical or unethical to conduct experimental research that manipulates one of the variables. For example, you hypothesize that passive smoking causes asthma in children. You can't do an experiment to test the hypothesis. It would be unethical to deliberately expose some children to passive smoking. So, you could rather do a correlational study to find out if children whose parents smoke are more likely to have asthma than children whose parents don't smoke. And it's important to remember that correlation does not imply causation. Just because you find a correlation between two things doesn't mean that one of them causes the other. For example, let's say you find a strong negative correlation between working hours and mental health. In countries with lower average working hours, people report better mental health. However, this doesn't prove that working hours causes an improvement in mental health, but rather, you have to understand that there are many other variables that can influence the relationship, such as average income, access to mental health care, and cultural norms. So, although correlational research can't prove causation with large amounts of data and carefully collected and analyzed data, it can strongly support a causal hypothesis.